The accident that would save millions of lives happened by chance in a French laboratory on a quiet afternoon in 1903. Édouard Bénédictus, a chemist and artist, accidentally knocked a glass flask from his workbench, expecting to see the familiar explosion of dangerous shards that had injured countless people throughout history. Instead, the flask cracked but held together, its fragments clinging to an invisible film that Bénédictus had forgotten was coating the interior. The flask had contained cellulose nitrate, a plastic solution that had evaporated and left behind a thin, transparent layer that transformed ordinary glass into something revolutionary. Mon Dieu, Bénédictus whispered as he examined the cracked but intact flask. This glass doesn't shatter into deadly pieces. It breaks, but it stays together. That accidental discovery would eventually eliminate one of the early automobile's deadliest hazards: windshields that exploded into razor-sharp fragments during accidents, causing thousands of deaths and injuries that had nothing to do with the collision itself and everything to do with flying glass. It would take 16 years before Bénédictus's laboratory accident became standard automotive safety equipment. But when it did, laminated safety glass would prove that sometimes the simplest innovations have the most profound impact on human life. If you love discovering the untold stories behind automotive history's most incredible innovations, please like this video and subscribe to the Car Chronicles. Early 1900s to 1910s, the glass death trap. In the early days of motoring, automobile windshields were made from ordinary window glass, the same brittle material used in buildings and homes. This seemed logical. Glass was transparent, relatively inexpensive, and provided protection from wind, rain, and road debris. But ordinary glass had a fatal flaw when used in moving vehicles. During accidents, even minor ones, windshields would explode into thousands of sharp fragments that flew through the passenger compartment like deadly projectiles. The glass shards caused cuts, lacerations, and injuries that were often more severe than the collision damage itself. Early automobile accidents were frequently more dangerous because of the glass than because of the impact, noted automotive safety historian Susan Baker. Drivers and passengers who might have survived a crash with minor injuries were being killed or permanently disfigured by windshield fragments. The statistics were horrifying. By 1915, automotive safety experts estimated that glass-related injuries accounted for nearly 30% of serious automobile accident casualties. Faces were slashed, eyes were damaged, and arteries were severed by glass fragments that turned every minor accident into a potential tragedy. Automobile manufacturers recognized the problem but had no practical solution. Removing windshields entirely wasn't feasible. Drivers needed protection from weather and road debris. Making windshields from thicker glass didn't solve the fragmentation problem and made cars heavier and more expensive. Some early safety advocates suggested using wire-reinforced glass, similar to what was used in industrial applications. But wire glass was heavy, expensive, difficult to see through clearly, and still broke into dangerous fragments during severe impacts. 1903 to 1919, the development challenge. Édouard Bénédictus understood the commercial potential of his accidental discovery. But transforming a laboratory curiosity into a practical automotive product required 16 years of development, experimentation, and refinement. The original cellulose nitrate film was promising but impractical for automotive applications. It was flammable, degraded quickly when exposed to sunlight, and became cloudy over time. Bénédictus needed to find better materials and manufacturing processes that could produce clear, durable safety glass at reasonable cost. Working with glass manufacturers and chemical companies, Bénédictus experimented with different plastic films, adhesives, and lamination techniques. Each iteration solved some problems while creating others. Better clarity might mean reduced durability. Improved weather resistance might increase manufacturing complexity. The breakthrough came when Bénédictus developed cellulose acetate film, which was non-flammable, UV-resistant, and remained clear for years of use. The lamination process was refined to eliminate air bubbles, ensure consistent adhesion, and produce glass that was optically perfect for automotive applications. Bénédictus spent years perfecting not just the materials, but the manufacturing process, recalled a contemporary glass industry engineer. Making one perfect piece of safety glass in a laboratory was impressive, but making thousands of identical pieces at reasonable cost was the real engineering challenge. By 1919, Bénédictus had solved most of the technical problems and was ready to offer practical laminated safety glass to automobile manufacturers. 1919 to 1925. The industry resistance. Despite the obvious safety benefits, automobile manufacturers were initially reluctant to adopt laminated safety glass. The material cost approximately 3 times more than ordinary glass, adding significant expense to vehicle production at a time when manufacturers were focused on reducing costs to expand market access. More problematically, consumers didn't understand or appreciate the safety benefits enough to pay higher prices for cars equipped with laminated windshields. Safety glass looked identical to ordinary glass, made no difference to normal driving experience, and provided benefits only during accidents that most drivers assumed would never happen to them. The automotive industry was focused on making cars more affordable and accessible, observed automotive historian James Flink. Safety features that added cost without providing obvious everyday benefits were difficult to justify from a business perspective. Early adopters included luxury car manufacturers like Packard and Pierce Arrow, whose wealthy customers could afford premium safety equipment and were willing to pay for the latest automotive innovations. But mass-market manufacturers like Ford and General Motors remained skeptical about safety glass economics. The resistance was also technical. Laminated safety glass was slightly thicker and heavier than ordinary glass, requiring modifications to window frames, door mechanisms, and mounting hardware. These changes added engineering complexity and manufacturing cost beyond the glass itself. 1926. The breakthrough adoption. The turning point came when Henry Ford made the decision to standardize laminated safety glass on all Ford Model T vehicles, beginning with the 1926 model year. Ford's adoption was motivated partly by safety concerns and partly by competitive advantage. Offering superior safety equipment at mass-market prices differentiated Ford from competitors. Ford's engineering team worked with Bénédictus and glass manufacturers to develop high-volume production techniques that reduced safety glass costs while maintaining quality and optical clarity. The economies of scale achieved through Ford's massive production volumes made laminated safety glass affordable for mass-market vehicles. Customer response was overwhelmingly positive once drivers understood the safety benefits. Ford's marketing emphasized that safety glass protection was included at no extra cost, positioning the feature as added value rather than expensive option. Ford's adoption of safety glass was brilliant marketing, noted automotive analyst Alfred Sloan. They transformed a premium safety feature into a standard equipment advantage that competitors had to match or risk appearing inferior. Other manufacturers quickly followed Ford's lead. By 1928, most major automobile producers offered laminated safety glass as standard or optional equipment, and by 1930 it was nearly universal on American-built vehicles. 1930s to 1940s, the impact measurement. The life-saving impact of laminated safety glass became apparent within a few years of widespread adoption. Accident statistics showed dramatic reductions in glass-related injuries and fatalities, validating the technology's safety benefits with hard data that convinced remaining skeptics. A 1935 study by the National Safety Council found that glass-related injuries in automobile accidents had decreased by more than 85% since the introduction of laminated safety glass. The reduction was even more dramatic for facial injuries and eye damage, which had been among the most common and severe consequences of windshield fragmentation. Safety glass saved thousands of lives and prevented tens of thousands of serious injuries, concluded the study's lead researcher. It was one of the most effective automotive safety innovations ever implemented, with benefits that far exceeded the modest additional cost. The technology continued to evolve throughout the 1930s and 1940s. Improved plastic films provided better clarity and durability. Refined manufacturing processes reduced costs and improved quality. And new lamination techniques created stronger bonds between glass and plastic layers. World War II provided an unexpected validation of safety glass benefits in military applications. Aircraft, tanks, and other military vehicles equipped with laminated glass showed significantly reduced crew casualties from glass fragmentation during combat operations. The legacy and modern impact. Laminated safety glass represents one of automotive history's most successful safety innovations, demonstrating how relatively simple technology can have profound impact on human welfare when applied thoughtfully and systematically. The technology established important precedents for automotive safety development. It proved that safety features could be economically viable when implemented at sufficient scale, that consumers would accept safety innovations when benefits were clearly explained, and that industry-wide adoption was possible when pioneered by major manufacturers. Modern automotive safety glass has evolved far beyond Bénédictus's original cellulose film design. Contemporary windshields use polyvinyl butyryl (PVB) interlayers, incorporate UV protection, provide acoustic insulation, and can include heating elements, antenna systems, and heads-up display technology. Advanced safety glass systems now include tempered glass for side windows that crumbles into small, relatively harmless fragments during breakage, and sophisticated laminated designs that can maintain structural integrity even after severe impact damage. The principles Bénédictus discovered in 1903 continue to save lives today. Every time a modern car accident occurs without serious glass-related injuries, it validates his accidental discovery and the 16 years of development work that transformed laboratory curiosity into life-saving technology. Contemporary automotive safety systems like airbags, crumple zones, and electronic stability control are more sophisticated than laminated glass, but none has had more direct, measurable impact on accident survivability than the simple innovation of keeping glass fragments from becoming deadly projectiles. The safety glass story also illustrates how automotive innovations often require visionary manufacturers to overcome initial market resistance and economic challenges. Henry Ford's decision to standardize safety glass demonstrated how industry leaders can accelerate adoption of beneficial technologies through commitment to mass market implementation. Today's automotive safety innovations face similar challenges, proving economic viability, overcoming consumer resistance to new technology, and achieving industry-wide adoption necessary for maximum benefit. The safety glass precedent provides a roadmap for how life-saving innovations can succeed despite initial obstacles. Édouard Bénédictus probably never imagined that his accidental laboratory discovery would eventually protect millions of drivers and passengers from serious injury and death. His story reminds us that the most important innovations often emerge from unexpected circumstances and require years of patient development to achieve their full potential. If this story moved you, subscribe to The Car Chronicles and hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs to know that the greatest automotive safety innovations are often the simplest ones, and that sometimes accidental discoveries become the foundation for technologies that save millions of lives. What's your favorite automotive safety innovation? Let us know in the comments how safety technology has influenced your confidence and peace of mind while driving.